Hello, I'm Bruce Goldstein, President of Farmworker Justice. Welcome to the 2020 Farmworker Justice National Awards. Each Tuesday during Hispanic Latino Heritage Month, we will pay tribute to an individual who has worked tirelessly to advance the agenda that addresses the ongoing plight that farm workers and immigrants face each and every day in America. We will be honoring this year's awardees through a series of 30-minute presentations recorded via Zoom and released on the Farmworker Justice website and all of our social media handles. These dynamic individuals include attorney Brooke Oliver, who will be receiving the Dolores Huerta Award, iconic farmworker movement photographer George Rodriguez, who will be receiving the Social Justice Arts Award, civil rights attorney Antonia Hernandez, president and CEO of the California Community Foundation. Antonia will receive the Shelley Davis Memorial Award. Broadcast journalist and CBS News contributor Maria Elena Salinas, known as the voice of Hispanic America, will be receiving the Social Justice Media Award. Also, recording artist and immigrant advocate Linda Ronstadt will receive the Dolores Huerta Award. And finally, the mayor of the city of Coachella, Stephen Hernandez, whose innovative work and service with the farmworker community as a model for other agricultural communities, will receive the Farmworker Justice Award. Our presenters will include Eva Longoria Baston, Dolores Huerta, president of the Dolores Huerta Foundation, the president of the United Farm Workers Union, Teresa Romero, actor and activist Pepe Serna, and from ABC's The Good Doctor, actor Nicholas Gonzalez. Before we begin, I would like to tell you a little bit about Farmworker Justice. Farmworker Justice, founded in 1981, is based in Washington, D.C. It's a not-for-profit organization. Our organization has a track record of empowering farm workers around the United States to improve their wages and working conditions, immigration status, access to justice, health, occupational safety, and corporate social responsibility in the food supply. We engage in advocacy, litigation, policy analysis, capacity building for community-based groups, and corporate responsibility initiatives. We're in the courts, we're in Congress, we're in agencies, and we work in the fields with the farm workers through their local communities. Our special events provide an opportunity to raise critical financial resources that we need to continue our valuable work. We would like to extend our gratitude to the following organizations for their support for this year's awards, and we hope you will join them. They include the California Community Foundation, the United Nurses of California Union of Healthcare Professionals, AARP, and Good Farms. Now, let's begin. Today, we pay tribute to Ellen Gavin with the Farmworker Justice Social Justice Volunteer Award. Welcome, Ellen.
Thank you, Bruce. Very happy to be here. Very honored.
Ellen Gavin is a writer, producer, and a longtime activist. Since the beginning of COVID-19, thousands of people across our country and throughout the world have heeded the call to make an impact during the pandemic. Ellen worked with our staff and helped organize volunteers from throughout America to help make protective face masks for those who do not have the means to purchase them. She makes thousands of masks herself from her home sewing machine. Ellen and other volunteers paid for the sewing materials, put in countless hours of work in mask making on their home sewing machines, and paid for all the shipping and other costs. About 20,000 masks were distributed free of charge to thousands of vulnerable farm workers and immigrant groups in many states, including California, Washington, Florida, Arizona, Oregon, Idaho, Tennessee, Georgia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. We'll never really know how many illnesses and deaths were avoided due to their efforts, but we can be sure that Ellen's volunteer actions are impactful. In fact, Ellen is making efforts that continue to this date, hour, and minute. I'd also like to mention that Ellen is an active member of the Farmworker Justice Advisory Council. Ellen, your actions prove that there is power in volunteerism.
Thank you, Bruce.
So I'd like to ask you a few questions. One is about your work outside of making masks as a volunteer. Tell us about your writing
Sure.
and other work.
Thank you. Well, I've been a writer and a producer and an activist for my entire adult life. And I was kind of honed in the Mission District of San Francisco, where I formed the Brava Theater Center and ran it for 20 plus years. Here in LA, I'm a screenwriter and film writer. I'm working on a pilot right now about an all-female fire station, based on my experiences as one of the first women firefighters in the country. So all my life, I've been working to empower and activate in terms of multiculturalism and feminism. And during the pandemic, it's gotten more and more intense, it seems. All of our values come home to roost, and we really see what we're made of. So I'm feeling very productive and very inspired in these difficult times.
Well, you obviously have a range of skills, and we're appreciative that you're putting them to such great use to farm workers and to our organization. How did the idea of making masks for the most vulnerable people in this country come to you?
Well, it's funny. I was working on my own projects, and I was sitting around worrying every night, watching MSNBC for hours. And Christina Wong, who I knew through the theater community, posted something about, oh, the next pandemic, I'm going to make bread. But right now, I'm making masks. And I found that so wonderful, inspiring, and challenging. And I went on Amazon, and in the name of my grandmother, I bought a pretty inexpensive Singer and got the pattern. I hadn't sewed since I was in the 7th grade. And then when I realized, okay, I am extremely interested and inspired by the work of Farmworker Justice, and just feeling like the most vulnerable communities, not only in the fields, but in crowded conditions, children that are working in the fields. I mean, unbelievable stress and danger for the people who are giving us our daily supply of food. So I reached out to Farmworker Justice, to Bruce, to David, to Becca, and requests started coming in. And by then, the network called the Anti-Sewing Circle is, I think it's close to 1,000 women across the country now. Christina's leadership has brought it there. And I think totally we've made close to 100,000 masks, and myself, I've made 1,300 or so. They each take about an hour. You can see here they're 3 layers and all different patterns. And I feel like they're small gifts of love and protection. So that's kind of, I started. And then, so what I do now is I listen to the news, but I work. And I feel like it's kind of women's work, you know, the way that women would sort beans or iron. And, you know, I'll tell you a little later about my grandmother, but it really, it feels like it's a gift of love every moment, an hour perhaps for each mask. And then I'm thinking and expecting to, you know, projecting protection for the people who wear them. So it's a wonderful experience, actually. It gives more to me than I give to it.
And to help us present your award, we've asked someone who is the national leader on farm worker issues. She leads the United Farm Workers Union, which began in 1962 and was co-founded by Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta. The United Farm Workers of America is the nation's first enduring and largest farm worker union. The UFW continues organizing in major agricultural areas in the United States. In recent years, they've won major collective bargaining agreements with some of the largest berry, winery, tomato, dairy, and mushroom companies in the country. Farmworker Justice works very closely with the United Farm Workers Union on policy issues in Congress and federal agencies regarding immigration, labor rights, occupational safety and health, and we work on a creative corporate social responsibility project called the Equitable Food Initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, our presenter is the first woman to lead the United Farm Workers. Please welcome the president of the United Farm Workers Union, Teresa Romero.
Thank you, Bruce, and thank you, Ellen and Gavin. Your selfless efforts have brought forth this recognition. All good deeds come to light, and today is the case for your efforts in volunteerism. Volunteering can help a person make friends, learn new skills, advance your career, and even make you feel happier and healthier. Without the efforts of volunteers, organizations like Farmworker Justice and the United Farm Workers would be a very different organizations today. Ellen, on behalf of farm workers and immigrants across America and Farmworker Justice, I am honored to recognize you with the Social Justice Volunteer Award.
Oh, Teresa, thank you so much. I'm incredibly honored. I'm going to accept this award on behalf in the name of my grandmother, Blanche Gavin, whose name is Branislava Indiki, her original name. She's a Polish immigrant who actually was taken out of the 6th grade to work in the mills in Lawrence, Massachusetts. And many of us know that Lawrence, Massachusetts was the scene of the Bread and Roses strike of 1912. Always been really proud, didn't realize it until I was in college, but I used to say it ended child labor, and my grandmother worked 50 to 60 hours a week and took home $2 or $3. She worked really hard, and she would exchange her check for a lesser check, so she'd have 5 or 10 cents in her pocket so she could buy some sweets, but she worked very hard for her family. I used to say it ended child labor, and then meeting David and Bruce and seeing the movie La Cosecha, I was embarrassed to realize it never ended child labor. That immigrant children are working in farms that are, adding into the labor of their family unit, living in really crowded conditions. My grandmother used to tell me how they took in boarders and they would sleep in the closet, they would sleep on top of the stove. And when I was working with Beto O'Rourke in Central Valley the last go round, I saw how crowded the conditions are. So when you think about COVID, you think about that, not just in the field, but people are going home and living in really expensive housing. It's expensive and it's crowded and it's inhuman. So I'm so happy that this network that I'm a part of is just, the Anti-Sewing Squad is going into Native communities, farm working communities, prisons, nursing homes, and doing the work of our government, which is just, and in some ways, pathetic. So I'm excited that we're going to change everything out in 2021. I'm so grateful for the lifelong work of Bruce and David has told me about his own experiences in the field. The fact that there's an advocacy group that is pushing so hard on every front for farm workers just brings me great joy. So the connection I feel is through my grandmother. I look at my hands of a 60-something-year-old making sewing, and I think about my grandmother and her spirit. So I dedicate this award to her, and I thank you all so much for the honor of it. Thank you so much.
It's our pleasure. We really appreciate all your work, and we appreciate the support you give to our, not only our work on face masks, but also our advocacy in Congress and federal agencies and state agencies to try to get more occupational safety and health protections from the government about COVID-19 to help protect farm workers and their families. So this concludes our first awards episode. We hope you'll join us again, and remember that each Tuesday during Hispanic Heritage Month, we will pay tribute to an amazing individual who has worked tirelessly to advance the farm worker cause. We'll be honoring this year's awardees through a series of 30-minute presentations recorded via Zoom and released on Farmworker Justice's website and our social media handles. In closing, we ask for your support. Please contribute to Farmworker Justice. You can visit our website, www.farmworkerjustice.org. You can also see on our social media in the caption or description of the post about these events, ways that you can help us in furthering our mission in helping farm workers create a better life for themselves and their family members. Thank you for your support, and log on to our website. Please also click onto the link to our program series, The State of Farm Workers in the COVID-19 Era, a series of 17 programs where we speak with people like Teresa Romero and others about farm workers and what they're going through during the COVID-19 era and the solutions that we and others are working on. So thank you again. Stay healthy, stay safe. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.